Welcome back. The timestamps are in the description box and all the stories have updates. Story number 1. Opie writes, I, 20 male, have a brother called Jack, 29 male, who is married to his wife Amy, 26 female. About 2 years ago, they had their first child, Lisa. On our side of the family, we all look extremely alike. Both of our parents have brown hair and brown eyes, so do me and Jack. Amy on the other side is from Norway and looks very different. She has blonde hair and blue eyes and generally has a very Scandinavian look to her, opposed to our very American look. So to what I thought was no one's surprise, of course Lisa got features from her mom. They look pretty much identical, and it seems they look more alike as time passes on. This was all fine from my understanding. I don't know why it even would be a problem, but about 1 year ago my brother started telling me about how his co-worker has a daughter that looks like the female version of him. He said that everyone said that the firstborn, especially if it is a daughter, is the spitting image of their father. I did not find it that weird, as I had heard that before. But I think it is kind of obvious that genetics works weird and in different ways, and what is common is not always what happens to everyone. I told him just that genetics works in surprising ways sometimes. However, as time went on, he started saying more stuff like this. Like asking me where I thought Lisa got her blonde hair from, which obviously was from Amy. He did this with other stuff, like the nose, the eyes, the little mannerisms Lisa has. It was extremely obvious it was from Amy, which I always told him. Now I have found out that he is demanding that they take a paternity test, as he is extremely sure that Lisa is not his. Amy is extremely distraught by this and has tried to explain to him that Lisa is his, that she just got stuff from Amy, and that happens. He is threatening her with divorce if she doesn't agree to a paternity test, as that would be his confirmation that she cheated. She got to our parents' house and broke down telling us all this. Our parents have texted him and called him. I have too. But he is now angry with us too because we are taking a cheater's side. His words. She and Lisa is staying with us and she is extremely confused on where all of this is coming from. I called my brother yesterday and this time he picked up his phone. I managed to have a conversation with him and asked him why, if he had any evidence that Amy ever did cheat, or why he thought so. He basically told me that he did not have any evidence, but he knew and was 100% sure on that. I asked him why and how. He told me that firstborn daughters always behave, look, and are a carbon copy of their father. But Lisa is not even remotely like that. He said that if it isn't like that, then Lisa would at least have some features from him, which she don't. I was getting angry at him because it just seems so weird to even come to that conclusion. I told him that he was an idiot for all of this, and that he will regret all this later on. He hung up and is even madder at all of us, saying that Amy has manipulated us all and that we can't come crawling back to him when the truth is out. I have not told Amy that this is the reason, or that I have talked to him, because I don't think she will react that well to hearing this. However, my parents are saying that it was extremely unnecessary of me to behave like that when I got talking to him, as this may have been our chance to have a mature and serious conversation with him. So, am I the a-hole for how I reacted? Edit. I have seen a few comments about this, and thought I would try my best to answer, but since I'm just hearing about this from Amy and was not there during the whole ordeal, I don't have 100% of the answers, and they are basically just what she has told me. He basically sat her down, told her that he was going to be honest with her. Then he said that he did not think Lisa was his, that he basically knew she cheated on him, and that he would do a paternity test. He did not go behind her back and do it. Why, I can't answer. They then had a fight and I don't know who left first. I don't know exactly what was said. All I know is that my brother is at a friend of his and Amy came here. Amy is not upright refusing the test either, but when he brought it up, she was extremely hurt by him insinuating that she would cheat on him. She has been with my brother for 7 years. They had a seemingly great relationship up until this. She is mostly hurt by the accusations, and that her relationship is most likely never going to be the same. She told me that the last couple of years now just feels like a lie, that he for the most part thought she was cheating. Edit 2. Thanks again. I have tried reading everything both in the comments and messages. The test will happen. I will update in the meantime if anything happens that is worth updating for. If not, I will try my best to just update with the results when they are done. Thanks again for everything. Well, we have an update from Opie. Hi everybody who will read this update. I'm sorry for the wait, but I hope I can answer it all. First things first. The paternity test was done and the results got back. Lisa is my brother's, no doubt there. So some of you thought that my brother was cheating on Amy, and from what we all have gathered, he's not cheating on her. Now, to what drove him to this point, we think we know. I mentioned in a comment that my brother had anxiety when he was younger. Now I know that anxiety was more severe than I ever thought. It is most likely what happened again. His anxiety has mainly been pointed towards other people. He doesn't trust that they want what is best for him. One example they told me was that he apparently refused to sit beside someone in classrooms because he thought they would take their pens and stab him. This is just one example. He also believed that people were conspiring against him, especially close friends. So what happened was that one of his co-workers had brought their daughter to the office one day, and everyone talked about how his daughter looked like him if he was a girl and 30 years younger. After this, they apparently started talking about genetics in the lunchroom for some time. Like almost every dad showed pictures of their daughters who looked just like them. All moms showed pictures of their sons who looked just like them. Of course, this was not the case for everyone, but for many. This apparently sparked something in my brother. He started obsessing about genetics, and what confirmed his thoughts was that brown eyes and hair should outweigh blue eyes and blonde hair. He fed into these thoughts and obsessed over them for almost a year. Also, for why he just didn't do the paternity test. He wanted to show Amy how easy it was to not keep secrets. He thought that if he was honest about knowing about her being unfaithful and being honest about wanting a paternity test, it would be easier for her to come clean. It was also so that he could walk out of it knowing he did everything 100% right, while she did not. Amy does not want a divorce right now, at least, and my brother should be extremely thankful for that. They are going to both couples therapy and individual therapy. Amy for things unrelated, and Jack for, well, all of this and his issues with anxiety. They are going to live separately for a while, but they are very insistent on making this work. Jack is not completely fine, and while we do want to trust him, we think that the answers from the paternity test is just breaking things down for him. We have tried to get him into therapy as quickly as possible, but we couldn't find any available appointments until next week, which is still quicker than expected. He is still very sorry for all of this. He had a very emotional reaction to seeing the test, and he kept telling Lisa that, Daddy loves his little girl when he was here. If there still are questions you want answers to, I will try to answer them as best I can. Edit. I talked with my parents about it this week, because to me it sounded like something severe, worse than anxiety from what I have read. But they told me that it was just anxiety, that it portrays different in different people, and that he just happens to be one of those affected by it more. I have never suffered from anxiety, so I kind of just took their word for it. If it is something more severe, I want him to get the help that he deserves. I will talk to Amy. Well, OP, I don't think you're wrong about it being more severe than anxiety, because to me it sounds like paranoia. But at least he's going to be seeing a therapist, hopefully a psychiatrist, and that soon you will have answers, and I hope that your parents will be open to what those answers are. Story number 2. Opie writes, a little background. I, 26 female, come from a relatively traditional Asian family, so sorry in advance for my bad English. My father owns a rice wine brewery, and my mother helped him with it. Even though I said my family is pretty much conservative, from what I've seen growing up, my father never told my mother to do all the chores, and he helps her with it. My father always say that he couldn't provide for the family alone and she has to work. That's why he never expected her to do everything in the house. Just like they share responsibilities to earn for our family, they also share responsibilities taking care of the household. Now come my fiancé, 29 male. We met on social media. He's an American who's currently working in my country. We've been dating for 3 years and been engaged for 5 months. He always tells me he's looking for a traditional woman and want to date with marriage in mind. He said that women who are able to take care of a household and child-rearing are admirable, and I always agree with him without much thought, because that's indeed incredible feat, right? He is working in a small university and I'm currently working in hospital. We saved enough to buy a house with a little bit of help of my parents. But we haven't moved in together though because, Asian parents. But anyway, on my father's birthday last week, we talked about marriage once again. He doesn't think his income alone would be enough after our marriage, and it's giving him insecurities. So I suggested that I keep working after marriage, and that's not a problem because we'd be partner. My father also offered that we take over his brewery, and while I found the idea lovely, my fiancé on the other hand seemed hesitant about it, but he agreed that I should keep my job. That was where the problem started. I told him that since I have to work, then I expect he'll help with the household chores later. After I said that, he suddenly got irritated. He said that he had been telling me he's looking for a traditional woman, and that now he had been catfished, since I don't want to take care of every house chores, because I'd still work anyway. Whenever he said he's looking for a traditional spouse, I always thought that he'd also be a traditional spouse, aka being sole provider, so I can focus on taking care of the house and child, if we ever have any. But when I told him that, he said I'm a gold digger and materialistic, like any other woman, even when I never once asked him to be sole provider. He brought that up first. Mind you, I don't even let him spend alone whenever we go out on a date. Example, he paid dinner, I paid for coffee and movie. Even my father willingly offered his brewery if we want to take care of it as a means to provide for ourselves. So, where's the gold I should have been digging here? That was when I actually put the ring down and tell him that I want to break up. I told him he's not traditional enough if he wants fully traditional wife. I didn't want to deal with someone who could easily call me a gold digger because I want to share the chores. That hasn't even happened yet. In front of my parents. I can't help but think if he could easily said what he said in front of my parents when we haven't married yet, then he could be saying something worse if we're married and alone. I went home alone, and he texted me saying he was sorry and he didn't mean what he said. He asked to meet, but I don't feel like it. However, when I told my friends, most of them told me I was a bit too emotional, hasty, and impulsive. That I might look like an a-hole because I don't even want to meet him. His mother now trying to talk me out of it, and that I'm too old to act like this, and it's the cultural barrier that led us to this point. So here I am, trying to look for a new perspective. Am I the a-hole? And here's Sophie's update. Hello, I'm back once again after this post. First of all, I want to thank everyone who kindly replied and messaged me the past week. I truly am grateful for all the encouragement I received from everyone. It really warms my heart in the midst of all this mess. I want to admit that I too ignored quite a number of red flags he displayed in the past years, brushing it off as difference in our culture and upbringing. I thought I was being open-minded and accommodating, not knowing that I should have opened a deeper conversation regarding what I want if I were to deepen our relationship. Many people kindly gave me praises in my previous post, but I feel rather undeserving to receive them because I also did so many stupid things that got me here. Okay, now to the real update. Last night, I had dinner with him alongside with my father. After much thought and input I received from Redditors, friends, and family. Long story short, he still didn't want to end our relationship. He apologized, saying he misspoke and wanted to fix his mistake. He said it was because he was too comfortable with me, since I'm not a confrontational person, and I did help him quite a lot with his chores, bringing side dishes, help clean up his place every now and then, etc. So he thought I'll always be accommodating what he wants. I also apologize that I've never really brought this kind of topic seriously and not making sure we were on the same page whenever we did discuss this type of topic. He agreed that I should have told him before, because that way it would never got to this point, and then keep bringing up my bad communication. I know it's my fault too, but it didn't feel good at all hearing that from him. Even if he had admitted his faults, and never spoke badly to me before except for that one time, I still can't shake off my distrust of him. I don't know why, but what happened last week is like an instant feeling repellent. So I returned the ring he gave and told him I'll return more than half of the amount we used to buy the house. He initially refused the money, saying he wants to keep trying to win back my trust and me to keep in contact with him. But this morning he said I can transfer his money because marriage is not really happening now, and tried to prevent me to sell the house or tell our mutual friends that marriage is off the table. So I just updated almost all of my group chats that now I'm single, and here to tell everyone I'm single because my now ex-fiancé got a red flag so big China would be crying with envy. I feel like an a-hole, to be honest, because it seems like my feeling for him was that shallow all along. But maybe reality hasn't hit me yet, but that's that. OP, your ex-fiancé was just gaslighting you. It was not a communication issue. He wants a traditional wife, but meanwhile, he can't be a traditional husband. He thought you were a doormat, OP, and you and your family showed him that no, you're not. On to story number 3. OP writes, here's the backstory. My close friends, N, 21 female, and R, 21 male, have always been incredibly close. N has been in a long-distance relationship for the past 5 years, and she doesn't shut up about her boyfriend, and we've also had to meet him a handful of times whenever he visits her. She has made him a huge part of her personality at this point. She even posts monthly anniversaries. R, on the other hand, acts like someone with very high morals and principles. Recently, though, N and R have been spending an unusual amount of time together. He even moved into her room after her roommate shifted out. At first we thought nothing of it, assuming they were just really good friends. One night I was gaming in the other room when I heard her moans coming from inside her room. I realized that R was also in the room and refused to believe the obvious until I saw a hickey on her neck the next day. She had also posted a story of her long-distance boyfriend the same night, expressing her love for him. I couldn't ignore what I heard, so we decided to confront N and R about it. At first, they denied everything, but eventually they admitted to it. They claimed it was a one-time mistake and begged us not to tell N's long-distance boyfriend. But even after all this, they still locked themselves up in the same room. We have cut all ties with them and refuse to speak to either of them. I feel disgusted being in the same room as both of them. It almost felt like we didn't know them at all, especially N, as she made her boyfriend a huge part of her life, and she was able to cheat on him so easily. The friend group low-key fell apart due to this. So am I the a-hole? And here's OP's update. First, I want to thank everyone who took the time to review my initial post. Your perspectives and insights have been incredibly helpful. A bit has happened since the last post. Basically, we told N that we were going to let her boyfriend know what was going on, and that it was best if she told him herself. She was very hesitant at first, but once she knew we were serious, she went and met him. She told him everything, and understandably he wanted to break up with her, but she convinced him not to. He ended up calling R and telling him that he did not want him to be in contact with N. She ended up blocking him everywhere and then unblocked him on Snapchat later and was still in contact. Eventually her boyfriend did end up breaking up with her and she flew back home. She's been depressed about it and still trying to get back with her boyfriend. Also, she's been staying at R's place for a few days. They said that they weren't going to do anything, but R's roommate's brother saw them lying on top of each other. So, anyways, the good news is that her boyfriend knows now. OP, indeed, that is good news that the boyfriend knows the ex-boyfriend and that he can move on with his life. Well, that's it for this edition of Wild Drama Stories. Take care of yourself and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.